Hello and welcome to Deadline's virtual Sundance studio. I am here with the filmmaker and cast of Together. We have Nikole Beckwith, director and writer, and Ed Helms, actor, and Patti Harrison, an actor as well in the film. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. So I wanted to start with Nikole. This is a very interesting film that takes like kind of a familiar premise that, you know, a lot of movies have, but it takes a turn, an interesting turn. But where did the story idea come from?
Just a curiosity about what it would be like for two strangers to go through such an intimate experience together. Yeah, I just kind of started writing it because I wanted to see what happens. And I wanted to tell a different kind of love story because there are so many different kinds of love. And I think we tend to, like, as a culture, focus on just romantic love. But that's just like, you know, one of the very many kinds of love. I feel like we even fall in that kind of love less than the other kinds of love. And yeah, just wanted to kind of tell that kind of love story.
Yeah, I would argue it is a different kind of love, but it's a more enjoyable kind of love. I don't know if that's controversial to say, but I think there's something precious about, well, precious sounds patronizing, but something a little bit special about this kind of love that the two characters have. For Ed and Patti, as Nikole was saying, it is a different kind of love story. It's a different type of relationship story that we're not used to seeing so much. But at the same time, stories like this, we have a surrogate, and all of these like details, they can be predictable, but Together very much does not follow that route, which is good. But when y'all first read this script, what kind of connection did you have to it? Ed, we could start with you and then we'll go to Patti.
I just connected immediately to the warmth and humanity of this script. And I think what a lot of scripts are warm, but this one also felt like a kind of different angle into love and a different angle into a kind of relationship that I certainly had never played or even quite experienced like this in my life, which is always an exciting challenge for an actor. So, yeah, I sparked to the script immediately, had a great meeting with Nikole, and then I couldn't wait to do it.
Yeah, and what about you, Patti?
I remember like first reading it, and when I like in the first kind of like learning what the log line was, or a brief like conceit of it, and then as I was reading it, I was like, I had these suspicions about like, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a rom-com, like another, movie that's about like an older guy and he like a young, super sexy, like super buxom, hot, young, like just like could play like 18, like passes as 18, gets like misclocked as 18 a lot. That girl, and then having this relationship together. So I was like apprehensive while I was reading it, and then it totally, it handles that in the script, and it's really subverted a lot of my expectations in like such an exciting way. And with this like level of like this mixture of kindness, and it's just like a really lovely script, and it's very like touching and in a lot of ways that I wasn't expecting, and it's just like really unlike anything I've ever gotten to do before. So it was super.
Yeah, I mean, there
to experience the script at the first time.
Yeah, there are so many moments, like small moments that speak volumes, like and even just like these details, especially about the ongoing friends bit, which I really enjoy because I have an interesting relationship with that show, or like I have opinions about that show. But I mean, I was on board from of course the beginning and the story, but I think the place where it turned for me was when the two of y'all were picking the swatches on the wall. That whole scene, that whole sequence, I was just like, it kind of just was like, I was like, oh, this is so sweet. I want to share a moment like that with someone. But the story, even the title of the story, speaks to kind of where we're at right now, together. And I don't know when y'all started filming this, but how do you think a story like this speaks to today's landscape? And were you expecting it to come out during a time like this when it kind of would amplify this moment where kind of that promotes togetherness? Nikole, we could start with you and then we'll go to Ed and then Patti.
Well, we wrapped shooting in October 2019. So
So no.
a global pandemic was
Different
not
world.
even wasn't even a blink in our brains. And through I got most of post done. I was like mostly through editing when quarantine started, and I was so grateful to have the film in my life. It was like the film became my roommate, my family, my like everything, because that's who I was spending time with. Ed and Patti, Matt and Anna, all day every day. And it is a kind film and an intimate film. And I felt like I needed that kindness, and the world, everybody's worlds got really small because we couldn't go outside, and whoever you were with was who you were with. And I felt like it was the intimacy, and I don't know if quietness is the right word, but it is like mostly you're with Matt and Anna alone. There was something really, really nice about that, because every once in a while I'd be watching something else, like, and there'd be like a 10-person dinner scene or a party scene, and I would be getting anxiety. I'd be like, you can't do that anymore. Like freaking out. But and spending a lot of time with the together, it did feel very nourishing. So it feels nice to put something like that out in the world when we are all kind of needing to be nourished in that way.
And Ed, what about you?
I think Nikole summed it up quite beautifully. That there is certainly a deeper longing in all of us for connection throughout this pandemic, and even though it was accidental, there is something that I think it isn't explicit in the script, but it's very much implied, which is that these two people, these two characters, are seeking a deeper connection, not necessarily intimate or romantic, but just a very human connection, I don't know, the complexity of that connection that plays out in the story, I think, is what's so special and beautiful about this. And as we're all experiencing isolation in different ways and in different forms, I think we long for, we even miss the complex parts. We miss the hard parts of our, an awkward family dinner or whatever, just something that that it's a little bit of the cost of connection that that I think I don't know, speaking for myself, I appreciate more now, like maybe the minor annoyances of a friendship seem so small now compared to the sort of greater love of a friendship. And I think this movie, weirdly and very presciently, accidentally, speaks to those things quite eloquently.
Yeah, and Patti, what are your thoughts on how Together fits into what we're all going through.
Well, I think it's like crazy that Nikole in the movie predicted this crazy virus. Like there's so much that was really crazy. The part in the
Nikole
movie,
actually caused the virus in order to make this movie more relevant.
Yeah.
What a
Well,
marketing tactic. That is
I
such good
know.
strategy.
It was
Pretty
what?
Gotta
awesome.
do what you gotta do, you know.
yeah. And Ed kept like improvising, ad-libbing lines and being like, "You're the super spreader," and like no one knew what a super spreader was then. So it was just like crazy that
I don't know why. I just thought it sounded cool at the time.
Yeah, yeah, and it was cool at the time, but now not.
Yeah, not so
it is
much.
not
I'm so
cool
glad
to
you
be a
cut
super
that
spreader.
out of the movie. Thank God.
Yeah, thank you, Nikole. I think it's just like when I think about the movie coming out in lockdown, the most exciting part of it to me is that it's like you said, it's a very like there's a lot of warmth in it, and I think that's like, you know, I don't want to be too cliche or any of that dumb shit, but it is
Yeah,
it's just
sentimental bull crap.
that dumbass shit. No, it's like it's a beautiful movie. It's like visually stunning. Nikole has like the softest, most delicate touch. It's like an emotional mental massage. There's like, you know, there is like Ed was saying, there's some drama in it. There's some rockier parts that are hard to process, and you know, but it's like merciful. Nikole is very merciful in the way that I think she loves the characters that are in her movie, no matter what their flaws are. And I think it's like she creates this little nice, it's like a really, I don't want to watch super crazy violent stressful shit right now. And she wrote this movie that's like a hug and a little kiss on your neck, but it's a platonic kiss.
Yes.
It's like a kiss on your neck, and then it apologizes. It's like, oh, that was kind of weird, right? And it's like, you're like, yeah, and it's like, well, and then it like revises, gives you a little kiss on the cheek.
Cool. I was just about to say that you know, together was kind of like a cinematic hug. Like I did. I mean, and I'm like the most cynical, cold-hearted bitch out there. So I think it's fair to say that Nikole's movie is the spiritual yin to the yang of the movie Jarhead. Okay, that's
kind of the exact opposite of Jarhead, tonal.
That's a good review, and that's that's a good way to end it on that thought. So Nikole, Ed, Patti, thank you so much, and congratulations on your film, Together.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.